Hello, everybody. My name's Jeremy Silver.
Jared Bosch.
Oh, and hang on. I got to do this. Wait, before we say.
You-
Wait, I know we're recording. This is Triggered.
Hey, that was cool. Do that. This is. Oh, mine doesn't sound.
There you
like
go.
that.
Now do it.
Triggered. Oh, that's cool.
He wasn't expecting that. Can you tell?
wasn't.
No,
That was worth it. I was about to say you couldn't figure out what you're going to figure out before. I mean, we talked about for 2 seconds what we were going to talk about. I wasn't expecting that. Eventually we're going to have a crew, and this is going to be done in front of a live audience. Does that happen anymore on the internet?
It's like well, I don't know. It could be like Bill Maher. You know.
I've thought about this being down at the library.
You think so?
For Medicine Hat, why the heck not? For Medicine Hat, why the heck not? I mean,
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, if we could get it out a little bit more. It's been a couple of weeks. We've been bad. You know what I want to say about that?
What?
Right off the top, because it kind of, I know we're going to say some personal things in this episode, and we did talk about it a little bit. It's been a couple of weeks because I'm going to say it from my perspective. Do you know what I find most interesting about turning on that camera?
What?
You can't do it without your own life being involved, so to speak. Me and you are not phony people. It's
No.
one of the reasons we wanted to do this. In the last couple episodes, I mean, you know what? I didn't think I was going to say it to the camera, but subliminally, our personalities and some of our battles have come out. It's very interesting. So, at least for myself.
Well, it's interesting that you started it off with that statement about phony people because, I think that ties into a lot of what we're talking about.
Yeah. So today we thought we'd talk about depression, whether depression is real,
Depression and anxiety. Yeah.
and that kind of segues with something else I've been got personal experience with. Maybe that's why I want to talk about it. Is addiction a disease? So right off the bat, I'll I think depression is absolutely real, but it's no different than any other emotion. And if you feed it, it wins.
Well, I mean, it comes down to the chicken and the egg conversation, right? What comes first, depression and anxiety, or I mean, does that make your thoughts negative, or do negative thoughts cause depression and anxiety? And that's the chicken and the egg conversation, right?
I think it's much more simple than that in this one. I know I'm very black and white.
Yeah.
You're the gray.
I am.
And I'm learning that, especially since my wife passed away. I'm actually trying to find the gray in life and live. Had a huge apathy for life before I met her. It returned now that she's passed. But no matter what's going on in the world, I got to talk about it and live here in this world still with a purpose. Where I'm going with that is depression. I don't really get your chicken and the egg thing. I believe depression is real, but only as long as you're feeding it and that's what you believe. Then you're, I don't want to say asking for it, but
Well, so my question is that what happens first? Do you pick up a phone and get involved in social media and get started on likes, or do you grow up in a household where everybody's very anxious and you're taught to be an anxious person by your parents, which feeds into depression and anxiety? Or is it a chemical imbalance in your brain before all of that begins? From the moment you're born, you're predisposed to it, right? I think there's a little bit of both that's going to play into that, and I don't know how you differentiate between the two.
okay. My phone went off and I wasn't expecting that. What I was thinking before I got sidetracked there was like, I'm definitely coming at this from personal perspective. And because I'm a truth seeker, I don't like the word conspiracy theorist anymore at all. And I know I'm considered a conspiracy theorist by many. I've been even known to be a flat earther. Mm-hmm. Some people, you describe me to a date. Yeah, big grin. I'm being vetted.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna say who, but I mean, I'm being vetted for a date. It was a great date. Had lots of fun and everything. But I mean, everybody's talking to each other and he's describing me as a flat earther. Where am I going with this? The depression thing. I got to complicate things. I think everything that we eat today, I think the poisons that we put in our body are causing everything that you're talking about. Add in, and I'm not diving into the conversation, it's part of why the world's depressed. Add in identity right now. Boy, I'm popular today. Add in identity, sexual identity. All of these different things are leading to something, and I hate to say, but I think everybody's getting lazier. In fact, when we talked about online dating, you were like, get to the gym, let's fight the depression, everything else. We're not trying. I know men aren't trying enough. I don't think they're trying enough. I'm complicated, but I'm saying I think, Jeremy, it starts with everything. We're being programmed to be depressed. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And it becomes a decision. I really do. I believe it's mental. And I think it's a.
To what end?
That's where you complicate things. To what end? Profit. There's no end.
So you think they're trying to get us to take antidepressants because they make money off of it and make us more easy to control?
They're trying to do everything to make money. I'll give you an example. I'm going to cross a bunch of subjects, but to give you an example, the whole Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light thing, right? Okay,
yes.
So Bud Light's losing billions of dollars, right? I don't know about you, but I still see it in the stores and I still see people ordering it. So I'm not saying that they didn't lose that market share, but I don't even understand what it is. And I'm not saying that all of the profit and loss isn't truly there, because I mean, if you look it up, they've lost billions. Of course, if you look it up, it's okay, they'll keep going. Part of my point. But the bigger point I'm making, do you know how much the medical industry is making right now? That's the transfer. Okay, we're going to piss off this group of people, because here's the big thing. I'm trying to keep it about depression, but I mean, you asked this. It's all part of the matrix, if you will. And if we're buying foods that are processed and making us sick, and then we're going to the doctors and the doctors are prescribing us all this stuff, it's profit. I mean, we have commercials for medicine. Ask your doctor if this is right for you. Side effects include nausea, death. I mean, really? Okay, you're joking, but I mean, I'm triggering myself. There you go. They don't. Okay, big conspiracy theory. They're trying to depopulate us. No, they're not. No, they're not. There's poisons in our food. There's chemical reactions to all this stuff. And here's the ingenious part. This is what boggles my mind the most. See, I believe my wife died of cancer. She died of cancer. I believe it was caused by some of the food she ate. My wife loved Mio's. Aspartames, these drinks that are supposed to be better for you because they're no sugar, but if you like, you go to the grocery store and the creamers now, they're not, people are not just drinking coffee. Like, have you seen this? What you get at Starbucks? These are all different kinds of sugars. I'll give you another good example. Prime, the Prime drink. Have you had one?
Prime.
No. Okay, so Gatorade, Jake Paul.
Yeah, I don't drink energy.
Okay, but they created a drink. It's called Prime to compete with Gatorade. It's the official drink of the UFC. It's huge. It's huge everywhere, especially with the teenagers. Did you know the label says for adults only? It says not intended for children. It also says don't have more than one in a day. And here's the really freaky part to me. It also, there's 3 flavors: blueberry, ice pop, and lemon. Now, you would think to yourself, those are 3 very different flavors, right?
Right.
If you read the ingredients, they're all the same.
Yeah, there's literally just the flavor chemicals in them are different. That's it.
Yeah, but the ingredients on the bottle,
Yeah.
all 3 bottles, is the same. And that freaks me out, because what I'm saying to you is whatever ingredient is making it taste blueberry to you is also making it taste lemon lime to me. But it doesn't say that on the package. It doesn't say this one's different. There is no difference if you read all 3 ingredients.
Well, yeah, there is, because it says artificial flavors.
Yeah, okay.
And the artificial flavors are all different.
And you're leading me right into bringing it back to depression. All those artificial flavors, we don't want to talk about what that stuff is.
Well, I mean,
you look at it a little bit different. And because I've done research,
I know what artificial flavors are, right?
Did you know the FDA classifies it as Google me, fact checked me. I hope we we trigger people. I really do, because I want to know if I'm right or wrong in my thinking. That stuff, according to the FDA, natural or artificial flavor can be human or animal. Human. or animal byproduct.
But that's not a secret, Jared. I mean, it's not.
It's to give you a secret to some of the
it's
people
not
who hear
overwhelmingly
it.
publicized, but
Right.
But I mean, I've known that artificial flavors for the last 20 years are made up of micro doses of toxic chemicals to make our palate taste like something. That's public knowledge if you look for it. They don't hide it. They don't hide it legally.
Oh, nothing
But they
in
sure
life
as shit
is
don't
hidden.
tell you when you
That's
buy
why
it.
they call it
Doesn't say artificial flavors made from toxins on the back, but I mean that's the truth.
or aborted fetal tissues.
I
See?
never
Fact
heard that
check
one.
me. I'm sure we'll hear from Snopes or some of these other ones that just aren't true fact checkers. But if somebody can prove to me that I'm wrong, it's just like more news stories are kind of surfacing that McDonald's might be serving human meat.
I do know that there was a recent study done a couple years back, 2 or 3 years back, that said that they took a whole bunch of 16 to 25-year-olds and put them in a test study group and actually gave them true extract from certain plants and vegetables. So they literally basically took a banana and sucked all the juice out of it, condensed it, and turned it into like a pure 100% drop of pure banana. And then they took artificial banana made from chemicals and they tested this whole group of people, and something like 95% of the people who tested thought all the artificial chemicals were what things are supposed to taste like. So it's very fascinating that that our younger generation, or maybe not even our younger generation now, I think there's a new generation coming up already, but they do not know what food is supposed to taste like because our palates have been conditioned to taste chemicals, and real food sometimes tastes bad to them. It's really fascinating.
Okay, so let's take that all, ball it right up into what it has to do with depression, because I think I can piece together why we brought all of this up. This stuff is in our food, so it affects the way we behave. Right?
Yeah, it probably.
Okay. Let me put it this way:
it would have some effect on us.
Let's put it this way. Let's rephrase it. Let's say all you eat is fast food all the time. You're 15 to 20 years old, male or female.
Yeah.
Or anywhere in between, and
he couldn't resist. He'll be okay.
I don't want to completely go off topic again, but do you know the most troubling thing to me about putting this camera on, or actually even existing in the social media world these days?
What?
I do videos for other things as well, affiliate marketing, all this other stuff. I'm afraid of how I word stuff right now. Business cards from companies I work with are starting to include pronouns. I got a business card the other day from a banker, and it said he, him.
I've seen it, actually.
Okay, so yeah, I say guys or girls, male, female, and I don't want to offend anybody if, there's a TV watching. Or a cat. We want to include, we want to include all people and electronics.
The kid who identifies as a TV. He's going to get me started again on the kid who identifies as a TV at Crescent Heights.
This is what I'm trying to say.
That's freaking hilarious.
What I'm trying to say is I'm glad that I'm doing this with you, because I am starting to learn, and those comments triggered me, and I'm starting to... what I'm learning about life in general? I'll get back to depression, because it's helping me with my depression. All of this crazy stuff, the Matrix, conspiracy theories, what we just talked about, what's in our food, what we eat, how we behave, everything, it's all wide open. It's all out in the open. Some people believe that the satanic cults that are running the world do this on purpose. Everything is right in front of us. No, everything is right in front of us, and because we don't actually stop it, because we feed the system, we vote, we go to work, we pay our taxes, that's why it continues. And depression wins if you don't do anything to fight it, if you don't eat the proper foods that your body reacts to properly, if you don't exercise somewhat, if you don't have the right circle of friends, if you don't get up every day and have a reason to be happy. They say 75% of Americans are unhappy in their jobs. 75% of Americans. It's an American stat, but I'm sure the Canadian stat's probably up there as well. So that means every day, 3/4 of the people in the free world get up and are fucking miserable. And I wanted to stamp it with the F word there, because if 75% of the people that go to work, no wonder the guy handing you your quarter pounder is annoyed.
That's so
Okay,
true.
so again, depression to me is a choice. And I'm going to say something that may trigger other people. I agree with Andrew Tate. I want to just say his name. Andrew Tate is like the most Googled guy in 2022, most Googled person on earth, 2022. He's been, they've tried to cancel him, which made him more popular. He is facing charges for trafficking. He's got some serious issues to deal with. But he's got some good points. I agree with some of it, not all of it. That can make people really upset. But he says it's a choice. He says if you're gonna get up and you're gonna think it, you're gonna fall. That's what is going to happen. You're going to be depressed.
Well, yeah, there's a huge amount of psychology studies that say that the first couple hours of the morning are your most important hours. Is when you wake up, distract yourself and think about your day ahead, and don't think about the things that upset you, because when you do that, it sets the tone for your day.
Oh, absolutely, and
Yeah.
I agree with all of that. See what you're doing is you're getting into the science of it, and the science that I've researched and that I believe in. Like I told you, I paid some big money for a brain course a few years back. All of these are in their psychology. Like some people say, it doesn't matter when you work as long as you work and you're happy. Morning routine, or even the flip side. I'm sure you have a routine. That's kind of what you're talking about. Most people get up in the day. The earlier, the better. Brain wakes up. Unfortunately, we're so addicted to our phones. From my research, the number one thing experts say these days, just don't pick up your phone for at least an hour in the morning.
Wow.
If you do that, kudos to you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, part of what depression is linked to, in my opinion, is reaching for your phone because you need to see if your comments got liked.
I've seen.
Or
that's
like
the
button is-
that's the endorphin response, just like a drug.
Yeah.
Yes.
The dopamine.
Yep.
It's
Dopamine.
a hit.
Sorry.
It's a dope hit.
Dopamine, endorphins. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, we've been trained for it. I'm guilty of it. I'm saying some of this is personal. I
Yeah.
can understand. In fact, I'll dive right in. I go through this every morning. I've gone through it for a while, man. My wife has been down 6-7 years. It's getting easier to talk about and deal with because the bill's still got to be paid.
I remember hearing a study about 5 or 6 years ago that said that something like 85% of people will admitted in a survey that when they wake up in the morning, they will grab their smartphone and check their notifications before they kiss or say hello to their partner lying beside them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think this is why we're all depressed?
Well, I think I don't think in blanket statements again, right? I think depression has always existed. I think that.
Do you think the world is depressed right now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
in general,
so-
I think the world feels. I think that the world is a little bit depressed because of from COVID, and I think a lot of the people feel.
When's the
they feel uncertain and hopeless about their future.
Thank you, because my question was about to be, when was the last time? And I'm going to go a bit bigger here, but when was the last time? To break it down a bit, when was the last time we as Canadians felt hopeful? Because you used that word. I'm glad you used that word. When's the last time, let alone the world? I don't think the world feels hopeful. Before COVID, whether I agree with why the world operates or not, we had seasons of the year, we had holidays, there was goodwill and cheer. Rich and poor were being separated, and the Matrix is doing its thing, but boy, did COVID just take any hope away from living on this earth anymore. We've been locked up, told there's a disease that's gonna kill you from breathing. It's no reason it's not shocking we're all depressed.
I think that, well, I mean, I was saying during COVID, even during all of the mass chaos, that when this is all over, and I was one of the ones saying this will come to an end, this will all be over. And for the most part it is. I mean, lots of things have changed and the world is different, sure. But it ended. I know there were some people saying this will be forever, but...
Actually, it is kind of forever.
Well, I mean, the repercussions from it are forever.
That's
but
my point.
COVID and the lockdowns and the masks and everything.
Depending on who you talk to, lockdowns are on their way back.
there's
No more blanket statements. Well, Google it. That's not a
I
blanket
don't know.
statement. If you Google it and you see video and all the people in charge, like Mr. Biden, for example, are saying we're gonna have to stay in our homes for a while. It's too hot or too cold. That's what's coming. If you Google it.
But no, I think that back to my point is
Okay.
I think that it took a mental strain on everybody.
Fair enough.
A huge mental
Okay,
strain.
but that's actually
right?
my point.
And I think we just need to recover from that as a society. One thing it definitely did is it divided our society.
Okay,
And whether you think it's on purpose or not, or a grand plan, that you can discuss that forever and never know. But the thing is that is what happened. We've become a divided society. And Donald Trump and COVID were the perfect storm for the world. And they came back to back. And between the two of them, we have, in my lifetime, this society has never been more divided than it is now. And I think we're unsure.
You think it's Donald Trump's fault?
Oh, I think partially it's Donald Trump. I don't think in faults. I think it's just simply,
But if,
it divided people.
Okay, I think they were already divided. And I don't think it was him that divided.
Well, I think people were already divided. They just needed a polarization button to make it explode, and he was definitely it.
Okay, fair enough. I guess the question is the change for good or for worse?
I guess we have to wait to see where the finish line is to know.
Okay,
I have no idea.
So right now we were going to be talking about depression, whether it's real or not. I think it is real. I think it's real from all these different things you're talking about. Let's say Trump becomes president and the whole world's polarized all over again.
Oh, yeah.
Or we can... Okay, but it's just... All that really means
Can't stand him, by the way. Sorry.
I'm smiling so people are automatically going to think that I'm a fan. I think they're all on the same team.
Yeah,
I think they're all picked. I think that... And no, how does that work? Well, they tell us and we believe them for everything, regardless of there's any common sense. This is why I'm a conspiracy theorist. There's people that believe we landed on the moon. I mean, are you kidding me? Yeah, you can believe it all you want, but if you look at watch the movie Capricorn 1. It's a 1970 movie. It shows you how they did it.
Neil Armstrong botched the line anyway.
What I'm trying to say is...
Most people
What
don't
I'm
know
trying
that,
to say, what I'm trying to say is, we watch reality and the TV. Not that I want to drift into American politics, but you watch what the press will show you, and it's Donald Trump with millions of people at a rally, and Biden with nobody, or Hillary Clinton with nobody. And then you tell me Biden got more votes than anybody in history, including the first black president, Obama. If you take these concepts and realities that we live in and don't question them, that's why it all keeps going.
I miss Obama.
This is just what I think. Why? He was the worst.
I thought he was the most eloquent, well-spoken, and
he's gay and he can read a script.
Well, if you say so. I think Obama was inspirational. I think he was the best president in my lifetime.
There's a video of a gentleman saying that he picked up Mr. Obama when he was still a congressman or a senatorman, got him blow and gave him head. I've seen the video. I've seen it.
Good for
you
Obama.
can tell me I'm... Yeah, but okay, this is...
Who cares?
It means he's gay.
I don't care.
Really?
How many indiscretions do you think Donald Trump has underneath his?
A million. Oh, don't. I'm glad you're saying this. Okay, this is actually my point. Let's even make it Canadian.
Do we really believe every accusation against Donald Trump is fake? Everyone, if you think that, you're a drone. Sorry.
Okay, we're really mixing this. And I'm going to steer it back to depression. I think this is why people are depressed. Because we're all watching these little fucking devices in front of us and scrolling and listening to all of it.
You can pause us and go take a 5-minute break and come back.
Why?
I'm just kidding.
Why? Because I said I didn't take a minute?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm widowed. So I work and I build websites and I do social media, and when my own brain wants to stop, I do what we all do, I guess. I don't have family to turn to. Let me rephrase that. I don't do what everybody else does. I'm going to make this serious again because you triggered me with that comment. I do talk a lot because I'm high energy and I'm a very passionate person. This stuff boggles my mind. It boggles my mind. And you know what? We're there where a minority of a group of people, any minority, can be a majority these days. And here's what I mean by that. 25 years ago, very rarely you would see a pop-up out in the middle of the forest with a bunch of people role-playing as the Civil War. Or furries. Yeah, you don't know what these are?
Yes, I do. I've seen it many times.
Right, many times because the population, as we grow and technology advances, we're all connected. So now there's enough people who've come enough to age that you can scroll the internet and you can find 1 million county fairs to go to and dress up as a furry or a Renaissance fair, right? I'm talking about the niches, what people watch. And I'm trying to say politics is constructed for us. Sex identity is constructed for us in pop culture. Religion is constructed for us. It's all part of the matrix. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong. I don't know who's right in the script, but I do believe it's scripted. And yes, I believe it's all to lead us to depression. It's to lead us to be dependent on the government if we choose, by giving them our tax money to booze, weed, cigarettes, and anything else that they tax, let alone just...
Do you know what I think?
Go for it.
I think that I hear a lot of people screaming that politicians and the government are incompetent. And then I hear a lot of people screaming that the politicians and the government are controlling us and it's some part of some grand conspiracy. And I think if you think you can have absolute brilliant intelligence and somebody who can figure out how to take over the world, you can't have them in the same bowl. That's what I think. I think our politicians are flying by the seat of their pants, just like we are.
No, they're
reading
scripts.
They're the ones calling the shots. I don't think so.
The corporations call the shots. The stock market calls the shots.
Well, welcome to a capitalist economy.
Yes, designed to keep us eating the shitty food, arguing about the politics like it keeps the world spinning around while they sell medications.
Well, the only other option is a socialist or a communist economy. We have a socialist economy where the government doesn't allow.
I think we need a mix of both.
I mean, but
if I
the socialist economy is a mix of both.
I agree, and it needs to be fine-tuned and regulated a little bit more, because the problem with what you're talking about, and you know what, this is supposed to be about depression, but it's complicated. But this is what is depressing people. We are controlled. We're controlled by the stock markets and the businesses. That's exactly what I just told you. That's why the Bud Light thing happened. Great publicity. Everybody and their dog is talking about it, so they don't make as much money on beer sales. They triple their cosmetic sales.
Do you know?
It's money.
Do you know? Did you look at the whole story?
Depression sells is what I'm saying.
Or list of facts behind that whole Bud Light thing?
I've researched it to the depth.
It was some new advertising
executive. If you want to believe that. If you want to believe that.
Yeah, I do.
And it was a year in the making.
Yeah, and she basically was straight out of school, and she was all on board with the whole equality and red pill community.
If you want to believe what they tell the camera. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think
they need a story, don't they?
If you don't believe some things, then you believe nothing.
What if nothing's believable?
Some things are believable.
Oh, people who sit on the fence are accused of what you're just saying. I'd rather sit on the fence till I figure out which side, because right now both sides are full of shit. That's my point. That's my exact point. The guy that I'm getting my information from is a U.S. presidential candidate. He calls all of this the swarm, and he breaks it down in a video. I should post the links in the description.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's the truth.
The guy with the really weird voice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Here's my point. Depression is controlled, and my answer to it, and I'm guilty of this. This is why I was saying, this stuff resonates on a personal level, and it's interesting how it comes out, at least in my mind, when I'm talking to the camera, because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I listen to you to reply. I know I do. I am so ready to respond to you and try to be right. And the first time we did this, I went home and I listened and I watched it over and over and over and over again. And I thought, man, me and Jeremy are good together. We love each other. I think that's the top of the list. And
Sorry.
Why did you?
I was doing like bird chirping for love sounds. It was just a joke.
Okay, totally threw me off.
Yeah.
My
He's not my type.
my point with all of this, the science. Okay, let's get back to science.
Sorry.
Everything we talked about is a distraction in the world, but it runs the world. You're still gonna go vote.
But people like distractions
But that's my point.
because they can live their life every day.
Okay, and that ties back to I became a widower, and while you go off with your family, I had no family to go to. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong about this stuff. I'm explaining why it's all in my brain. Because while everybody else got locked up, so did I. And the only thing I had in my hand was a phone, and I got to look at everything. And my point is, with the furries, and there's a minority of everything now. There's a niche for everybody, and living life that's controlled in this matrix. My point is, depression is a choice. You either buy into it and feed it, or you do the things that will help you not be depressed.
Well, I think there's situational. There's lots of different kinds of depression. There's situational depression where shit happens, like where you go through a breakup or you lose your wife, and
So what's the answer? Do I stay depressed Do I stay depressed, or do I decide one day, you know what, my wife's fucking dead. She ain't coming back. I hear her telling me I'm better than this, and to get up, don't be depressed, because I will literally lay in bed. Sometimes I'll cry. First thing in the morning, 4 or 5, my eyes open. I'm glad I'm alive. But I think about some of my problems. They get very overwhelming. My wife's not here. She can't help me. Do I feed that and let it not make me productive? Or do I go, okay, yeah, I got to get in the shower. I got to shake these thoughts.
But that's situational depression. In that case, yes, you probably have some control over it.
Okay, apply a different situation.
But not everybody is situationally depressed. Sometimes people's brains are just not wired properly.
Okay. We're leaning into where you're saying a doctor tells you you're depressed.
Right.
Okay. I don't know how to argue this one because I don't want to insult anybody, but I still believe it's 90% in your own mind. I don't care what a doctor says. I don't think ADHD is a thing. I think we all have ADHD. We all have different levels of it. And at 8 years old or 9 years old, you're instantly diagnosed with ADHD and given Adderall. I think we're on the wrong fucking channel. There's my point.
Going back to addiction, right?
Okay, you want to tie addiction into this?
Well, addiction.
Let's lead into that. Sure.
Addiction, in my opinion, is tied into depression directly in many cases, or mental illness. People use illegal drugs to self-medicate when they...
Not soon. It's all being legalized.
Well, it's already legalized in BC, and it's a disaster.
Exactly.
So it's a disaster because people are just abusing the system. But my point is that a lot of those people who do meth and cocaine and other illegal substances are self-medicating instead of going to the doctor and getting medication.
What about the people that
because it probably works better than the doctor from the medication, but it kills you too.
What's the difference between the people that you're saying go to that are doing those for depression and going to the doctor? No, stop. They're not going to the doctor. They're abusing these drugs, as you say, because of depression. Are they diseased? What I'm getting at is when we started, we want to talk about depression being on the top of the list.
I don't know what came first.
Or is no, I'm not going with that. I'm saying, is an addiction a disease? Is addiction a disease?
Well, Jared, listen. I mean, I think that there is no blanket statement here, and that
Jeremy, do you know
people
why I
have
say this?
addictive personalities. Some people have addictive personalities,
like
and some don't.
Think in these blanket things.
I've never in my life been so addicted to something that I couldn't stop. And sometimes it took me a while. Sometimes it was a struggle, and it was a battle, and it hurt, and it fucking hurt like hell. There goes our PG rating. I stole his line. But I have always had the ability, and everybody in my immediate family has always had the ability to get addicted to something like cigarettes or cannabis, and then just one day go, this isn't really working for me. I don't know if I want to do this, and just stop doing it, and then never do it again. And that's me.
Okay, so you put on your phone one day, you put people scroll because they don't have any self-control. And I commented and said, that's your own goddamn fault. And you said, I could look it up to get it exact.
Yeah.
But you said something, I said something. I asked you if you do cocaine. And you said, who can afford cocaine? And I said, that's not what I asked you. Because I was trying to make a certain point. Put down your fucking phone. You don't have a gun to your head. You can say, put it down. End of story. Just like we talked about how people will look at their phone before they'll even say good morning to their partner. Put down your fucking phone. It is self-control. I'm a hypocrite. I scroll just as much. That's what I'm saying. I get depression. You got depression. You sit there and you just soak up all the information, but it's still self-control. And the reason I'm bringing it into this conversation is because somebody made a bunch of comments and blocked. I'm not gonna say she blocked me. I don't want to say anything this person did that was not. You're grinning.
Her block list is extensive.
Yeah. If she sees this and she wants to talk about us, let me know. I'm not going to say your name. The issue is this person is a Christian and this person is a recovering addict, and power to her. I have a lot of respect for her beliefs. I'm different. I got a lot of respect for the fact that she's recovering. She believes, and the reason I'm bringing it up, addiction is a disease, and I disagree with that for one reason. Addiction is a choice, and then it becomes a consequence of those choices. And my biggest counter argument for anybody that wants to say I'm wrong, and that's what I was trying to say with you. So is somebody who can function on cocaine diseased?
I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
Why can't both be true?
Sure. Okay, why can't both be true? Because a disease is what my wife fucking died of. That's a disease. She had no fucking control over it. She fucking got it.
She didn't. She drank aspartame. You said it yourself.
I think that's what caused it.
Right.
I can't prove that though.
Well, right.
I mean, hold on.
But our
the
life
FDA, the story of the FDA approving sugar and aspartame are both political. Because the shit's dangerous. It kills us.
Aspartame's bad.
Right. There's pictures all over the internet, right? I believe whatever's in that shit poisons you. And I believe my wife drank enough that her system was weak. I believe that's how they do it. I don't care how crazy it sounds. There's TSP in our in cereal. TSP is wall cleaner. It's used as a preservative,
mm-hmm.
and if you call up the FDA, they'll say, well, there's not enough in there to kill you, because you're only supposed to eat a bowl at a time. Because nobody eats an entire box of cereal at once. No teenager does that. Or how about our toothpaste? Read a bottle of toothpaste. Go get it from your counter right now. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I guarantee you I'm not wrong. It's labeled as a poison. If you swallow it, you're supposed to call for poison, because fluoride is a poison. It's supposed to help us? No, it's a poison. So all of this shit is in our systems.
We're one of the only cities that doesn't use fluoride in the water.
Maybe that's why our water tastes like shit. Our water sucks.
And Medicine Hat does not use fluoride in their drinking water.
So, anyways, you asked me why both can't exist, because that's half the problem.
Both do exist.
What's that?
Both do exist.
Addiction is not a disease.
Yeah, I disagree. I think for some people it is, and for some people it's a choice. I think you can have both, and both can be true.
How can a disease be something that you choose?
Do they choose to self-medicate because they're suicidal?
If you choose to snort
mind?
cocaine or do meth, and it becomes chemically addicted and too powerful for your mind to quit, you didn't start a disease. You started meth.
I don't think people choose to be sick. And then they use the drugs to compensate for the mental illness.
You're giving,
in some
to
cases.
me, you're giving an excuse for somebody to pick up meth and then blame it on it being a disease after they get addicted. And then what bothers me and why it triggers me in a sense is the grand scenario of all the issues we have with it. I'm being nitpicky. I think I battle this myself. I smoke weed, and I don't like some of the things I do when I smoke weed. I don't want to get huge personal and change all the subjects, but I smoke it to take the anxiety of real life away. And then sometimes what happens is I waste my time scrolling or whatever, being depressed and missing my wife. And let me tell you, that's what I'm trying to say. You're saying it's situational. No, we all live a life. I'm not trying to say... I know there are people out there with medical problems. Okay? I know that there are drugs for medical problems. For example, if I smoke weed that's too powerful, I call it cancer weed. And the reason I call it cancer weed is because I think to myself, if this stuff's so strong and it gives me a fucking headache, and somebody out there is taking it for pain because of a disease they have, wow. That's where it becomes a med in that sense.
Jared, I mean, but people are living longer now, not shorter. Okay. Right? I mean, you say all these things like it's destroying us. I mean, maybe it is causing depression, but physically, our world has never been healthier because of all these drugs.
Are you insane?
No, I'm not. You remember
We gotta
the 50s
battle this one.
when they were all ingesting lead?
Okay,
Like, come on, Jared.
There's
Asbestos and lead.
Dude, the world is more unhealthy right now than it's ever been.
I disagree. I think the world is more healthy because of all the science and the drugs we put in ourselves.
No, I'll pull up the stats. Even we'll continue this conversation.
Well, there's
this
lots
one
of
I want
stats
to
that we
be.
can
No,
throw
this one
around.
I want to be right about. This one I want to be right about. We're worrying about climate change that doesn't exist. It's a created thing. It's going to be the next thing that they use to raise taxes that they're already doing and possibly lock us down with. And all of that is a result of bioengineering and controlling the weather and doing all of this stuff. And this stuff isn't conspiracy theory. You just got to look it up. And if I were to get on my phone right now, I could prove you wrong instantly with
My
science and
grandmother
fact.
lived to be 96, Jared.
Yes, but more people are dying right now from drug overdoses, fentanyl, meth.
Extremely
crimes.
small percentage of the population.
Okay, so we should care because it's an extremely small part of the population.
No, we should
We shouldn't
recognize
care.
that we have
We
always
shouldn't
had that
ca-
small
we
percentage
shouldn't
of the
care.
population
We
dying from
shouldn't
things
care
like that.
maybe if we treated addiction for what it was, an addiction to certain things, and deal with it a little different, that we wouldn't need to be manufacturing the drugs for the people to take.
Jared,
Canada
in-
makes its own drugs. Right?
In the end, I do believe in a large amount of cases it is a mental health condition, which is why they do drugs. But in the end, it is their choice to do the drugs. But
right.
at what point do we decide
don't call-
somebody can't make that choice because they're not competent?
I'm saying everybody's making the choice. I'm saying don't call it a disease because it's not.
I sorry, I don't agree all the time.
Okay.
I'm 50-50 on it, right down the middle, like
Okay.
everything.
No.
I think that you have a good majority of the population who are able to do drugs casually and function perfectly normal.
I'm triggered.
And then you're going to have a segment of the population that are so addicted to drugs that they can't function without them, and they use it in order to try and
disorder?
balance the chemical and the balance imbalance in their brain that they have had their whole lives.
A disorder or structure of function in a human, animal, or plant, especially one that has a known cause and a distinctive group of system signs or anatomical changes. Bacterial meningitis is a rare disease. A particular quality, habit, or disposition regarded as adversely affecting a person or group of people. Departmental administration is often led to the dread disease of departmentalitis. So that second one is trying to give light to you can link an addiction. The first, I'm insulted by this one. I don't think disease, you can't call an addiction a disease. An addiction is a choice because of your addiction is a consequence of your own choices. End of story.
Okay.
In fact,
that's how you feel.
In fact, I won't. Do you know why I won't touch cocaine?
Why?
Have you done cocaine?
No, never.
Okay, would you? See, you hesitate. Wow, I don't have a hesitation.
I've always
Never.
been curious, but
Okay,
probably
no,
not.
me too. As curious as fuck. I've had it in front of me, but never. And I'll tell you why.
I've never done it.
Do you know how River Phoenix died?
No.
River Phoenix died from reverse reaction to cocaine. I think he had a heart attack. He died.
Severe withdrawal.
Reverse reaction from my research. I could Google that as well.
That's probably
But
a
yeah,
severe
it gave it.
withdrawal.
Okay, I've never touched cocaine because when I read that story, I was 12 or 13 years old in junior high school, and I thought to myself, if I ever touch cocaine, with my luck, I'll fucking die right on the spot. And that has stopped me from ever trying it. I've had friends die of it. I've had family die of it. I've had it in front of me. Like all of the above. I've never been curious to try it for that reason. That prime drink that I just talked to you about, I won't touch it. I'm not going to touch it. And as crazy as it sounds, I won't touch it because it says don't have one more than one on the bottle. And it said not intended for children. And I don't know what the ingredients are. And you can say, oh, great, well, it's part of the artificial.
That's because of the caffeine in it, I think.
There's no caffeine. That's even
Oh, no.
scarier. So it does. Oh, you know, it says 10% coconut water. I mean, that makes it all good. Anyways, my point is, I won't touch that stuff because I know I could either die or I'm going to become addicted. That's my choice. I don't say, well, I don't look at it and go, I'll have a disease if I try that. Because like I said, somebody else who picks it up and can function, which boggles my mind. People are high all day at work now. That's what vapes did. You know? Like the whole world's walking around high and half of us are working. Are those people addicted? Do they have diseases? That's see, my problem, I guess, And boy, there's no easy way to say this. This is where I want to learn from you. Help me find the gray area. Help me understand it. Help me take the angst away. Maybe just talking about it does help me. Because like I said, when we did the first episode, I walked away and I learned a few things.
When I ran for city council, I was putting up a sign in front of the YMCA at that corner by Maple Avenue. And some guy on a bike rode past me and looked at me. And he didn't talk first. I talked first. I said something along the lines of, "You think it's big enough?" Just jokingly. And it sparked a conversation with him. Turns out he was homeless. He was a drug addict. He was living on the streets, starving. Probably had stolen the bike he was on. He started to tell me that, but stopped. But, it was really interesting. I asked him how he ended up there, because that was something, feeding people every Christmas for the last 10 years that I was very passionate about is how do you prevent people from ending up where he was? And he said to me that he was the most normal kid, normal person you'd ever met. And in his early 20s, he got into a car accident, very bad car accident, and smashed his head so hard that he's never been able to think properly again. He's never been able to be the person he was. There's no history of drug abuse in his family. And all the drugs the doctor gave him to try and balance out the brain damage in his brain were not helpful for him, because he couldn't make a decision anymore because of the brain damage. So somebody said to him one day, "Here's some, try this. That's shit from the doctor, doesn't do anything." And it was meth. And then he's addicted to meth. So, I don't know, is it a choice? Sure, it's a choice from somebody with brain damage who could not make the decision to begin with because they were diseased. Because,
No.
Well, what's brain damage then?
That's a medical issue. So he didn't get the disease. Brain damage, that's a result of his accident, which is insanely unfortunate. I'm listening to...
I think a lot of the people are like that we're talking about. A lot of them.
I'm talking about the people...
FASD people, who are born with brain damage to a certain extent. Sorry if you're FASD and you don't agree, but
I think part of our problem in society is our generations are being taught to be dependent on the government. You can agree or disagree, but I believe they are.
But
on welfare day, most checks are cashed as fast as possible. The money is put in the bank, the cash is taken out, so everybody can buy their bingo money and their booze for the week and their food and their cigarettes and their drugs. They're returning half of those checks back to the government. And if they don't get out and exercise or find work or be contributing members, then that's part of what we're saying is problems. Plain and simple. And I think, whether I'm right or wrong, I can't help it. It's because of how my wife died, okay? Like I said, I'm listening to you and I'm trying to find... I love sitting here. It's a mirror on my own soul. I better watch what the fuck I say. Because I am genuine. But I'm sorry. I believe that this whole attaching the word disease to an addiction is just letting people find a way to go to the doctor and find a way to get different drugs or get paid to stay home. What you talked about is a very unfortunate situation. I don't think he should have tried meth. I don't believe he didn't know what it was before he tried it. You can add all this, well, he's not thinking to begin with. Well, who's the friend that would give him meth? We don't know the whole story 100%. But I get what you're trying to say is some of these people become addicted for situations. Fine, that doesn't mean you got addicted to a disease. A disease from drugs is linking just excuses, in my opinion. And I'm sorry I feel that way, but I do. To tie it all together, what I'm trying to say is, you betcha depression is real. If something happens to you and all you do is think about it all day and you don't do any exercise and you eat pizza and fast food all day, we're set up to fail in our society. In a way, our own mind is set up to fail against us because we're taught...
I find your statement so contradictory.
What's that? We're set up to fail in society?
Basically,
how much
what
is
you're
a
saying
cheeseburger
is
compared to...
what you're saying is drug abuse is a choice, not a disease.
That's right.
And we have that choice, but we don't have a choice because we're set up to fail and we're being controlled. The two conflict in my mind. Either you have a choice or you don't.
There's two different things. There's two different things, first of all. You have a choice for everything in life. That's actually my point. You have a choice for everything, and there's consequences. If you pick up something that's known to be an addictive substance and you can't control it, you didn't become diseased. You became addicted.
Yeah, but
what
about that ability to make a decision that not everybody has genetically?
I can't speak for that. We're not speaking on that. We're talking
But that's
about
what
the
I'm
people.
talking about.
I can't control that in the world.
I'm
And those
talking
people are getting
about
left
those
behind.
people who do not have the mental capacity to understand the consequences of putting drugs up their nose.
They shouldn't be around anybody that would give them drugs.
But they don't
Why
have
are
the
they-
ability to make that decision, which plays
How are they
into
functioning in the
disease
world?
and
How are
mental
they even
illness.
functioning in the world? I don't understand.
They're not functioning in the world.
Then how do they get drugs? Where are they in the world? Like you want to talk about blanket statement? You're giving me a blanket statement.
No, I'm talking about that demographic of
What
people.
demographic?
The demographic of people who do not have the mental capacity in order to understand that when they take a substance, they are going to be addicted for life.
How are they? If that person that you're specifically talking about isn't capable of that decision, you give me the situation where they're even able to buy drugs then, because then they'd be in a home. They can't function. They're not.
That's not true.
Well,
the government's giving them money. You said it. I can give money to a 5-year-old kid, and he's going to go out and buy piles and piles of candy and make himself sick and throw up.
Sure.
So why can't we accept that some of the adults doing drugs have the same mentality because they're brain damaged and they have a
I'm
disease?
not disputing that with you. You're trying to say the addiction becomes a disease, and I'm not willing to let you have that annotation. I don't care what the situation is that somebody is becoming.
No,
You're
I
trying
think
to
the
give
disease
excuse.
causes the addiction sometimes.
What?
I think that people who
Then where are these people getting their drugs from, and who are their guardians to protect them from this stuff? You're not. That's what I'm trying to say. You're not making sense.
do you want to have a babysitter for every person who's like that? You want to talk about?
We do right now. They all hang out downtown.
We can't possibly.
We do. We babysit them right now.
No,
And that's
not each individual one.
Pretty much.
No,
According
not
to
even
the
close.
police, I'm going to complicate this. Yeah, according to the police, they're all corralled downtown. Remember first episode we talked about? I went to the meeting, dude. I heard the guy say the police know where they are. That's why anybody who's homeless or has mental health issues like Jeremy is talking about are downtown.
The downtown police squad is 3 people. We have more than 3 people addicted to drugs. Last time I checked.
That's my point. Exactly. They're corralled downtown because 3 people are down there, but the police know where everybody is, and they even know these people by name. And what I'm trying to say, and you keep trying to attach it, is those people are addicted, not with diseases. I get what you're trying to say. Vulnerable people land up with these addictions, but you can't say that the addiction itself is a disease. You can't. And I'm boggled by your theoreticals.
I'm saying the addiction in many cases is a symptom of the disease.
No,
Yes.
no. Okay, so what you're telling me is a normal person has an accident that leaves them mentally challenged. They try meth for some reason, which you can't exactly rationally explain.
Yes, I can.
Well, somebody has to give it to them.
Because it affects.
And that has to be somebody who doesn't
it affects
give a
their
fuck.
decision-making ability.
Yeah, but how is a person like that able to function and not have a guardian around them to help them? So
But
that
they
doesn't
do have
happen.
a guardian. They just
Right, so
can't
how do
have
they
each
get-
individual person walking around with a guardian.
Okay, Jeremy, this is getting funny because to me, you're trying to. They can either function by themselves or they can't. If they aren't mentally adept enough to figure out whether they're buying meth or not,
No, I disagree.
or a person
Completely disagree. I interact with a lot more of these people than you do.
then we have other issues.
I interact with these people.
Then we have
I
other
feed
issues.
a ton of these people every Christmas.
Then you know what?
Our issues are that
then
there are
let's-
so many needy people with
Then let's get rid of
compromised decision-making
then
ability that
let's-
we don't have enough financial resources to give them each a babysitter.
Bullshit. Then you know what the answer is? The police need to shut them down because you know what else sucks? The police know where
You can't take their rights away. Here we go
I
again.
didn't mean
right?
them. I
So,
mean go bust the dealers. We know they're out there too.
they are trying to bust.
No,
the
they're
dealers.
not. Nope, they're not. Nope, they're not. Not in my opinion.
Okay.
Do you know how drug dealing works downtown?
Not
There's one
specific.
guy and he keeps it in a stash somewhere, and he collects enough money and then he goes and he runs. And the police know who he is. Might not be the same guy. It's been a few years.
Because if they arrest him, there'll be somebody else to replace him.
You're just feeding my actual point. You're just feeding my actual point. If we cared about society and we didn't want it all turning and working like this, keeping everybody depressed and addicted and dependent on the government, we would bust the dealers. We would bust the crack pipe, the meth houses and the crack houses. I mean, isn't there a story? I'd have to Google it again, but there's a story. Some of the residents in the flats got so pissed off they started putting signs up on all the trees calling, yeah, right?
I remember that.
Okay, well, there you go. I'm not crazy. This stuff is happening right in front of us. It's what we choose to fight. So when you ask me why can't there be both, I get triggered because I don't believe addiction is a disease. A disease is like cancer. It killed my fucking wife. Addiction is a choice. I smoke weed. It's definitely an addiction. But I could quit if I choose to.
Is it a choice if you do not have the mental capacity to choose?
You shouldn't be smoking it to begin with. And I can't answer this question of you because you're giving me an insanely hyperbole, oxymoron, double standard of a hypothetical. You can't just say, oh, there's people out there who don't know what they're doing. I don't believe that. I've seen the mental illness. And if that's the truth, our laws should be changed. Have you ever seen the movie, what's it called? Something Rick. White Rick or something like that.
No, I don't think
It's
so.
the true story of a kid down in the States. 15 years old, he became a drug dealer and sold for the FBI. He then went to jail at 15 years old. That's what the movie's. White Boy Rick. White Boy Rick. He got the nickname because, according to the movie, his father was an arms dealer, like selling guns out of the back of a trunk. Okay, and at 15 years old, he walked into the hood and walked into one of the gangs and made them deals for guns, and that did it. At 15 years old, over a year, he became a drug dealing, gun dealing guy. And the FBI picked him up. This is all in the movie, and here's the point I'm getting. In the movie, their sister is addicted to drugs. When they start getting found out, the dad starts to feel guilty. He wants to clean up. He wants to save his family. They go into where his sister is in a flop house, addicted, strung out. They pick her up. They take her home. They lock her in a room for 2 weeks, and they don't open the door. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong with all of this stuff, but I think there needs to be a mix of compassion and tough love at the same time. And I know what you're saying. It's not blanket enough, and you can't do this without taking away people's rights. So at the end of the day, I don't have an answer. It's just as frustrating. It frustrates me more than it frustrates you because you're able to look all of this and see gray and everything else. I see it as it's our society and the way we're being programmed to give everybody excuses. That's what I see it as 100%. And I suppose if you're able, like myself, and you get up and you exercise and you eat the right things and you practice some discipline, I don't think you'll be depressed. There, I've looped it all together, whether I'm right or wrong about any of it.
I guess it'll be, up to a matter of opinion.
Everything we're talking about is a matter of opinion,
Yep.
and that's the funniest part. And the most interesting thing I've learned about all of this, I think we should talk about conspiracy theories next time. We should actually just talk about them for an hour.
Get a list.
I can be triggered easily. I mean, if we make it through without me like standing up.
Did you hear the Prime Minister's getting separated?
See, okay, so I'll talk about that a little bit.
Well,
I got severe confirmation.
we can
bias.
talk about it at the next one.
Jeremy's like, I want to stop now.
Yeah.
Jeremy's kind of tired for this one. but
I'm tired.
It's been a while, so we got it in there. Okay, so what's your conclusion? I said what I think. I think depression is. I'm sorry. I think it's real. I think it's real. Last thing I'm gonna say about it. Okay. I was in sales, car sales, at a dealership here in Medicine Hat. Very, very successful dealership. I'm not saying which one. We were in the boardroom for a Saturday meeting. And this was back when, what year was it? 2015-ish? Maybe even earlier than that. Oil field was dropping out again. Everybody, oh yeah, we're doomed, inflation. Like, just, it was all anybody was talking about. And this is one of the things I think about daily when I'm having a hard time getting up in the morning. In the boardroom, the boss, the president of the whole car lot, walked around and said, "Are you all thinking about oil and the bad news?" And we all said, "Yeah." And he said, "Then you're not going to sell a car." And he also said, "Can you do anything about any of that?" And we all said, "No." He said, "Then this should just be another Saturday where you're happy and you see people and you try to sell cars and you believe everything's okay, because at the end of the day, life's going to keep going. We can't change any of it." So right now, whenever somebody's really depressed or says we're in this huge inflation or, this recession, all this, I say, tell that to the guy who sold 3 cars. Or I used to sell beds. Best bed in the house was $5,000. If I sold one of those, do you think I care whether, It's in your mind, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. If you have control over it, you're not medically limited.
There you go. That's the nail. You hit the nail on the head.
Jamie's going to pass out.
If you have control over it, you're not medically limited. Anyway.
Then you just got to battle your own mind. This last thing, I got to add this. I don't know if you know this. It's called 5-second theory, depending on who you talk to. This is one.
Is that when you drop something on the floor and you eat it?
No, because depending on you where, that can be the 5 to 10 second theory, right? No. Okay. This is 100% science. This is the last thing I'll leave everybody, because it should help you with your depression, procrastinating, getting things done. Did you know you have 5 seconds when you have a thought to resist your brain?
No, I didn't know that.
Did you know your brain is set up to tell you to stop? As human beings, believe it or not, why work is so hard, believing in something is so hard, owning a business is so hard. Because it doesn't matter what you think to do, your brain will try to stop you. Especially if it's a chore or something you're afraid of. And building your own business is a great example. Because what I'm trying to say is, oh, I should do that report, or I should write my book. And your brain goes, oh, don't do that. Because what if your book doesn't sell? Or what if this is awful? Even doing the dishes, your brain stops you. Oh, we don't want to do the dishes. Now you're being lazy. But you have 5 seconds to repel your brain when you resist on anything. I want you to look it up. It's a human emotion for your brain to try to stop you from doing anything. And believe it or not, the science behind it is your brain is trying to protect you. It's trying to protect you from disappointment. That's just the end of the story. See, when those, like waking up in the morning. Mm-hmm. Don't get up, 5 more minutes of sleep. Oh, I got to face this. I got to think about this. Right. Don't do that. Just get up and face the world. Same thing when you're facing anything. That's my tip for battling this. He's going to fall asleep, and I'm actually just starting to wake up. Yeah. Okay, we'll see you on the next Triggered.
Hey, I'm Jeremy Silver.
Jared Bosch.
And we'll see you next time.